Welcome to Backbone Unlimited. My name is Matt Hartsky. In this episode, we're going to talk about something that quietly ends more elk hunts than bad wind, missed shots, or tough terrain: quitting too soon. And a lot of hunters don't even realize they're doing it. They don't pack up and leave on day one. They don't make some obvious decision to give up, but instead, it happens slowly. Confidence drops. Effort changes, decisions get rushed, and before they know it, they're going through the motions instead of actually hunting. The hard part about elk hunting is that success rarely shows up early. It builds, it develops, and most of the time, you're closer than you think long before you ever see it. If you're not familiar with who I am, I've been hunting and guiding Western big game for over 34 years, and I've been a professional strength conditioning and nutrition coach for more than 30 years, and I'm here to help you become a more successful and consistent elk hunter and outdoorsman. In this episode, I'm going to break down why so many elk hunters quit too soon, what's actually happening when it feels like nothing is working, and how to stay in the hunt long enough for things to finally come together. Most elk hunters don't quit when they leave the mountain. They quit long before that, mentally at least. And it usually happens after a few days of not seeing what they expected. Maybe they haven't heard a bugle, or maybe they're not finding fresh sign. Maybe the spots they were confident in aren't producing. Whatever the reason, there's a moment where doubt starts to creep in. At first, it's subtle. They start questioning their plan. They second guess their location. They wonder if they picked the wrong unit, the wrong drainage, or the wrong strategy. And then it shifts. They begin hunting differently. They sleep in a little longer. They move faster through areas they should slow down in. They start bouncing from spot to spot instead of staying disciplined. They hunt with urgency instead of purpose. And that's the moment they check out, because they're no longer executing a plan. They're reacting to frustration. And they might still be hunting and they don't realize these things are happening. But elk hunting punishes that immediately. Elk don't care how many days you've hunted or how hard it's been. They respond to pressure, movement, and mistakes. And when your mindset shifts, your decisions follow, and that's when opportunities start slipping away without you even realizing it. Quitting isn't always just walking away, right? Sometimes it's staying, but no longer hunting the right way. One of the hardest parts about elk hunting is that progress rarely looks like progress. You can be in the right unit, in the right drainage, making the right decisions, and it can still feel like nothing is happening right. No bugles, no sightings, no obvious confirmation that you're close. And that's where a lot of elk hunters start to break, because we're wired to look for feedback. We want to know we're on the right track. We want signs that we know what we're doing and that what we're doing is working. But elk hunting doesn't give you that consistency. And a lot of the time, you're operating in delayed results. You might have just missed elk by an hour. You might be one ridge away from where they're bedding. You might have hunted a travel route they used every other day instead of today. But from your perspective, it feels empty. So what do a lot of hunters do? They assume it's not working and they change something. They leave good areas too early. They abandon a solid plan. They start chasing new ground instead of letting things develop. And in doing that, they reset their progress back to zero. But the truth is, elk hunting often feels like failure right before it starts to come together. And if you don't understand that, you'll walk away from opportunities that were closer than you ever realized. A lot of elk hunting progress happens in ways you can't measure, and that's why most hunters miss it. They're looking for obvious wins: elk in sight, bulls bugling, fresh sign everywhere. But the real progress is usually quieter than that. It's learning how a piece of country actually lays out once you're in it, not how it looks on a map. It's realizing where thermals shift earlier than expected. It's understanding how pressure is moving elk through an area even if you're not seeing them directly. It's small adjustments. You find older tracks in one drainage, then fresher ones on a ridge over. You notice feeding sign lower than expected for the time of year. You bump elk once, and instead of writing it off, you start asking where they went and why they were there to begin with. That's progress. But a lot of elk hunters don't treat it that way. They see anything short of a close encounter as failure, so they leave before those pieces come together. The hunters who stay consistent start stacking that information. They build a picture of movement, pressure, and terrain over time, and eventually that picture becomes clear enough to act on. By the time they get their opportunity, it feels like it happened fast, but it didn't. It was built on days of progress a lot of people never recognize. Hey, if you hunt public land elk and you're tired of grinding through random seasons, I built the elk hunting series of ebooks for you. Most hunters don't struggle because they lack effort. They struggle because they lack a system. And that's exactly why I built the elk hunting ebook series as a complete progressive framework for Western elk hunters who are done guessing and ready to hunt with intention. Volume one is going to be Foundations and Reality. I reset your mindset and expose the assumptions that quietly wreck seasons. In volume two, Finding Elk and Understanding Pressure, you'll learn how elk actually move under pressure so you can anticipate instead of react. In volume three, Terrain, Wind, and Position, I break down how to use landscape and thermals to consistently create opportunities. In volume four, Calling, Silence, and Pressure, sound becomes a decision tool, not an impulse. In volume five, Bow Hunting Execution, we're talking about close range strategy so you can finish your encounters. And in volume six, Late Season and Post Rut, we're talking about how elk shift after the rut and how to adapt when others quit. This is a system built for consistency. This isn't theory, it's a structured system to help you find elk, read country, and make confident decisions every season. Buy each volume individually or bundle them all to save 50% off at backboneunlimited.com. Elk hunting isn't just physically demanding, it's mentally compressive. Every day that passes without a clear opportunity feels like it adds pressure, not just from the hunt itself, but from the clock. Limited days off from work, travel invested, tags that took years to draw, expectations you built up long before the season ever started, and that pressure changes how you hunt. At first, you're patient, you're willing to sit, glass, move more slowly, and let things develop. But as time starts slipping away, that patience gets replaced with urgency. You start forcing movement. You push into areas too aggressively. You call when you shouldn't. You rush setups instead of letting them unfold. You try to make something happen instead of letting the right situation present itself. And that's when mistakes stack up. The mountain hasn't changed. The elk haven't changed. You did. Time creates pressure, and pressure creates bad decisions. The hunters who quit too soon aren't always the ones who leave early. They're the ones who let the clock control their behavior. They speed up when they should slow down. They abandon discipline for action. And elk feel that immediately because in pressured environments, the hunter who stays controlled and patient doesn't just last longer, he becomes the one elk make the mistake around. The hunters who consistently find success don't just last longer physically, they last longer mentally. And that comes from a simple but powerful shift. They stop hunting for immediate results and start hunting for position and probability. Instead of asking, why haven't I seen elk yet? They ask, am I in the kind of place elk should be given the conditions right now? That one shift changes everything. It keeps them from bouncing around, keeps them from forcing movement. It keeps them focused on making the next right decision instead of just chasing a quick outcome. They understand that elk hunting is a process of getting closer over time, not a game of instant success. So they stay patient. They keep working in the same area if the sign, terrain, and pressure all make sense. They trust what they're seeing even when it hasn't paid off yet, and they stay disciplined long enough for things to develop because eventually they do. And when that moment comes, a bugle, a visual sighting, a fresh track, it doesn't feel random, it feels like you earned it. And that's the difference. The elk hunters who quit too soon are chasing. The ones who stay in it are building it until the right opportunity finally shows up. A lot of elk hunters don't fail because they lack skill. They fail because they leave the process too early. Elk hunting is built on delayed results, subtle progress, and moments that don't look like they matter until they finally come together. And if you don't understand that, it's easy to walk away, physically or mentally, right before things start to turn. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this: stay in the hunt longer than it feels comfortable. Stay disciplined when nothing is happening. Stay patient when the clock is working against you. Stay committed to good decisions even when you're not getting immediate feedback. Because elk don't reward urgency, they reward consistency. And the hunters who keep showing up, keep making the right moves, and refuse to mentally check out are the ones who eventually get their opportunity, while everybody else is already headed home or hunting without purpose. Now, if you want to go deeper into elk movement, pressure patterns, terrain positioning, and structured decision making, that's exactly why I built the elk hunting series of ebooks. It's a progressive system designed to help you understand how elk actually use country and how to position yourself accordingly. I have a link to those ebooks in the description. If you want hands on application and real time breakdowns, we have an in person Elk Camp 2026 that is built around this same philosophy: structure, preparation, and execution all in real terrain. 90% of Elk Camp is going to be running scenarios with you. You can check that out at backboneunlimited.com. And if you want ongoing access to the Team Backbone community, classroom, my full digital vault of elk resources, private discussions, and direct communication to me for planning, you can join Team Backbone at backboneunlimited.com underneath our membership tab. Everything we talk about here is connected. Preparation is not a single video, it's a system. Thanks for being here. Until next time, train harder, hunt smarter, and never settle.